Good morning, everybody. Thank you for joining me today on Userback's webinar From Bug Chaos to Bug Mastery. We'll give it a couple more moments for everybody to join. I've got about 2 people still joining the webinar. In regards to questions, I can already see those coming through. There'll be an opportunity to raise those questions at the end, but please feel free to raise them in the chat at any time. If I'm not able to answer them during the webinar, I'll cover them at the end in a 10-minute allotted slot. So we'll just give that a few more moments. Okay, brilliant. Thanks everyone for joining me today. One thing I'll mention very quickly is that this webinar is absolutely being recorded. So if you find this valuable, if you do want to share it with your team or anybody else, please let us know. We'd be more than happy to provide you a link where you can share this on. So first of all, I'm Daniel Rae, your guide on today's journey from bug chaos to bug mastery. As the customer success manager here at Userback, I've had the unique experience working with our developers, working with our customers who are also developers, product managers, and even end users of our own product and end users of our customers' products. So my experience is pretty broad, what I've seen and what I've experienced. So please feel free to leverage my knowledge today. I'll try and impart some wisdom if I can, but I think today's webinar is really going to resonate with most of you. So you might be thinking, or you might be wondering, is this a technical debugging webinar? It's absolutely not. Userback's Customer Success Manager is not going to take you through code debugging. What I am going to take you through is an equally critical aspect, which is bug collection, management and prioritization. So I'm going to give you the skills and tools using Userback to ensure that your bug reports are crystal clear, they make sense, and of course you can prioritize them based on real actionable insights. So we'll quickly cover off some of the pain points. The chaos. Number 1, an incomplete picture. So the lack of visual context or even just text-based bug reports aren't really helpful. They add a ton of time leading to back and forths, asking for screenshots or access to the product. So giving people the ability to either take a screenshot or a video is pretty much invaluable. Another part of the chaos is going to be that endless back and forth. So when your customers raise those bug reports, you want to identify exactly what the problem is there and then. You don't want to have to go back and forth multiple times asking them for more detail. It's frustrating not just for you, but also for the customer as well. So getting all that context first and foremost, maybe with a picture and any other detail, is really, really important, and it will lead to that really positive experience. The last couple of things are, lack of technical knowledge. Your users might not have the vocab or the understanding to articulate their issues correctly, and oftentimes it leads to guessing, meaning they could lead you in the wrong direction, which is absolutely not a good thing. If you've ever spent hours investigating a bug that's not a bug, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. I really want you to imagine a world where bug reports come in, they're crystal clear, you can assign them to the right person immediately, they've got the right context, you'll know exactly what the problem is and how to get it fixed, or again, the person who to assign it to. So that's what I'm going to show you today with Userback, how to get that high detail, automated high context for your developers and your product teams when that feedback is submitted. The first thing that Userback is going to give you the ability to do is ask your users for screenshots and video recording. Let them show you exactly what they see. Visual aids like screenshots eliminate the guesswork. They provide that clear, unambiguous way of showing what the user is seeing and experiencing. Similarly to that is our session replay. So the session replay works a little bit different. It's not a video recording, but it plays like a video. You can watch an instant replay, minutes or even longer than that, of what happened as the problem was occurring. So you're not relying on that user recording a video or taking a screenshot. That session replay is already recorded and already attached to your feedback as it's submitted. Next, in the screenshot at the bottom, you can see there some of the errors on the screen, console logs. So we're automatically capturing client-side JavaScript errors This can typically or significantly speed up the debugging process. It's going to tell you exactly where the conflicts are, where the errors are, or anything else that you've added to the console log for note. The final thing that we're doing is we're logging events. So knowing the events leading up to a bug can really help you understand that root cause. We're going to show you the elements that that user was engaging in, maybe like a text field or other elements within the page. And this is going to create that high detail, high context, unified picture of what just happened so you can get fixing or you can solve that problem for that user. I want to show you that high context piece inside Userback right now. So let's jump into the app. This is a demonstration page for the Userback widget. This is a dummy app, as you can see from the logo, Ipsum logo on the top left. But on the right-hand side is the Userback feedback button. This is very much what Userback users experience when they go to report a bug. They can click on the feedback button, which gives us three options: report a bug, general feedback, or sharing a feature request or an idea. The use case we're looking at today is around reporting a bug. So let's click on that. I'm going to keep it really lean. I have problem, please fix. This is not helpful at all, okay? This person has just logged on. We've automatically identified their email address. So that's something really cool that Userback does, is automatically identify your users if you're using the JavaScript SDK. And then we can just get them to add a title or the description of their issue down below that. And then we can ask them for a screen recording or video recording or a screenshot. I'm going to take a quick screenshot here and I'm going to add some more context. And I'm going to add a comment. There we go. So I'll click next, report a bug, and that's how easy it is to report a bug with Userback. So again, we're talking about collecting high context, crystal clear feedback from our users. And as you saw, I wasn't really giving crystal clear information. So again, I'm going to show you how that works with Userback if the articulation of the issue just isn't there, or they haven't really given us much context from a descriptive standpoint. So now that I've submitted that feedback, I'm going to jump back into the Userback app. This is Userback. On the left-hand side, I've got all of my incoming feedback. In the middle, I've got the comments or descriptions that the feedback had supplied when it came through. And off to the right is that contextual detail. It's going to tell me what screenshots were taken, what kind of browser the person was using, browser size, and even the location if I have that enabled. But what's really important for this high context piece, number one, session replay. So I showed you that a little bit earlier. We've got the screenshot here, but the session replay is where Userback is really going to shine. Again, we're going to watch that instant replay of everything that happened right up until that feedback was submitted. So there's the feedback page, or there's the app page inside Userback, and it's showing my cursor being dragged around the screen. Again, instant replay. I can go ahead and fast forward it as well to a particular point. And you can actually see that it's got me annotating, it's got me raising the feedback. So not only has it captured the issue, it's also capturing me raising the feedback. So again, it's capturing everything right up until that feedback was submitted. If I expand the console log, it's going to show me errors, warnings as they're occurring. And if I enable the event log, it's also going to show me, again, events being tracked as the feedback was being submitted. So this is what I was talking about, that high context, unified view of feedback or bug reports as they come in, not relying on the user's articulation of the issue, lack of context, and we're not going back to that user multiple times asking them for more information, like, did you get an error? If I click on the session tab on the top of the feedback, it's going to show me a bit more information. So again, I've got the console logs that I also saw in the session replay. It's got key events that I engaged with right up until the feedback was submitted. And another really, really cool feature, it's going to help me conduct user analysis, is the user data tab. Now this user or myself, I didn't type in any of this information. This is something that's been identified in the background using our user identification function. So what you see here is the user's ID related to your app. It's got their name and email address, their location, but what's really key is their plan. So I can start to prioritize and I can start to action these bugs based on their priority as a user. Really, really cool stuff. The last thing that I'll show you here is the ability to share this with my product development tool. So we've spoken about the collection side. You've just seen what it looks like to collect a very high context piece of feedback with basically no effort. I'm going to show you what this looks like sending it off to Jira. So we've received the issue. I've reviewed it over. I can tell this is absolutely a problem by the console logs. I don't really know exactly what the problem is, but I know that my developers should take a look at it. I know that they're a premium customer, so this should get looked at right away. I've commented my developer here that there's an issue and that I'm raising this in Jira now. So I can go ahead, I click the Jira button, and I'm going to go ahead and add a bit more of a description. I can add at this point anything more over and above what's been submitted. So if I've identified something from the session replay, I can add that here. 30 seconds in the session replay. So again, just giving my dev or product team a little bit more context. All the other fields seem to be populated. I can add a bit more context. I'm just showing that there's custom fields that can be added here as well, so we can really work within your existing workflow. Click send, and that issue has now been created in Jira. Really, really simple stuff. So the beauty of this being created inside Jira is it's going to have that high context, but it's going to be sitting where our users actually work. So, or where our team is actually working. So Userback can be utilized as the central source of feedback truth, but also as that high context feedback collection piece. Now, the next thing that we'll look at is just covering off something called the JavaScript SDK. Now, the JavaScript SDK is a pretty nifty tool. It lets you interact with the Userback widget with just a bit of JavaScript code. The reason I'm showing you this today is it's going to help you master those bug reports, not only from a context perspective, but it's going to enable you to interact with the Userback widget to create a feedback journey that's specific to your users. You can populate custom data that's specific to your app, further enabling context that maybe wasn't already being provided. I did mention a feature a little bit earlier, user identification, identifying your users automatically. This can also be done with the JavaScript SDK. The last thing that is worth mentioning is listening to events. So you can trigger specific actions within the Userback widget or follow-up questions based on widget events or user actions. This makes your feedback collection process really interactive, really dynamic, and ensuring that you get the most relevant information. So aside from that high context, meeting your users at the right place and at the right time is really important. And the JavaScript SDK is going to enable you to do that. So number one, create a custom feedback journey. Number two, attaching custom data. Number three, user identification, automatically pre-filling information that you already know. And lastly, triggering actions based on events within the widget or within your app. All right, so we've got 10 minutes now at the end to answer your questions. The first one that we have is around the learning curve. What's the learning curve like for getting my team onboarded? Well, it's really, really simple. We do have a lot of self-help guides, but I often find that users who request training never actually end up taking us up on it because they don't realize how simple it is to get up and running. Userback is super intuitive. The one part that you should plan for if you're not using Userback already is the installation step. Make sure you have a technical team member on site. For anybody technical, it's really, really simple. Once it's installed, you're going to understand Userback in minutes. I think the best thing that you can do is go through our quick start guide just to get a bit of an overview, but the learning curve is minimal. It's really easy to get started with Userback. Hope that answers your question. Thanks. The next one. Can Userback's bug tracking be integrated into Azure DevOps? Absolutely. So today we looked at Jira as an integration, but I want you to know that we absolutely integrate with Azure DevOps. What's also important to note is that we also integrate with Microsoft Teams. So you can create that Microsoft sort of ecosystem workflow, if you like, have your notifications going off to Teams, and have your bugs submitted and managed through Azure DevOps, but utilizing Userback as that central source of feedback truth. Again, good question. Thank you. Last one, are there any limitations on the volume of feedback? No, not at all. So on all of our plans, you can have unlimited feedback reporters, and you can have unlimited volumes of feedback. So if you have, let's say, a website that's public facing, and you get 100 feedback a day or 1,000 feedback a day, you could essentially do that on the startup plan. So there really is no limitation on who's reporting feedback and the amount of feedback that you receive. Again, another great question. I'll just give it a few more moments to ensure that there are no more questions coming through. I can see someone typing, but nothing has been submitted yet. Okay, that user has stopped typing. Fantastic. We'll really appreciate all of your questions today. Thank you so much. As we wrap up today's webinar, I want to say a huge thank you for joining me today. Your time and engagement mean the world to me. I hope you've found this useful and beneficial. Again, if you'd like to share this with either a team member or a colleague, please feel free. I'll make sure I have a recording out to you after this, as long as you ask for it. In terms of future webinars, what we're going to do is we're going to keep these product development and customer feedback ones going. If you've got a burning question or a topic that you'd like us to explore or cover, please send us your ideas. We're absolutely committed to providing content that's really helpful to you all and helps enable you use Userback better. If today's discussion resonated with you and you're thinking that Userback could be a game changer, please feel free to reach out to me to learn more. Dear Rae at userback.io, Dre at userback.io, and I can send you some more information. We can also get you set up on a free trial as well. So if that helps, if that makes sense, please feel free to reach out to me and I can get that organized for you. A really big thanks for spending time with me today. I'm really excited to connect with all of you soon if you do reach out. But until then, keep mastering those bug reports and closing out those feedback loops. I'm Daniel Rae. Thank you so much for joining me.